Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, in the heart of the country in South Warwickshire. And today I'm talking Sweet as a Peach. So this is a lovely stamp set with both images and sentiments in the current annual catalogue. And you can buy coordinating dies with it to cut out those images, along with some little accent dies that you can see there, like leaves and a branch and a little sentiment sort of lozenge as well. Great fun, lots of projects. If you want to see the sweet inspiration, if you click down below, if you're on YouTube, you'll find a link to the inspiration video where I share lots of different ideas about using the stamp set and dies. And this is just one of the projects that I thought I'd share with you. So this is a bit of a blending brush and using up scraps of DSP, and they literally are just some little slivers that I grabbed out of my leftover pouch. You'll see here, you know, just all of those bits. I just keep them together, ready to add a little accent, and it's using this paper here. So it comes in sheets of 12 by 12, 2 each of 6 designs, and these are the designs in the stamp set. I think that's probably the only one I haven't actually used overall, but probably because I love the front of it so much. But lovely floral images as well, some balmy blue in there and calypso coral, petal pink and mango melody, as well as pale papaya, one of the new in colours. You'll see some lovely floral images of scattered flowers, pear pizzazz through to kind of old olive, and a bit of early espresso on some of them with sort of the twigs and branches as well. So as you can see, a real lovely assortment of papers there. And to create this card, I think it's lovely that you can really vary the look of the peaches. So this one is using pale papaya and calypso coral, which I've coordinated with the pale papaya card. You see I've just stamped the inside of that as well to tie that in, and you do the same on the envelope as well. And just some little oddments. So let's crack on with the card. So to start off with, card base, 21 by 14.5 centimetres, scored at 10.5, so that's 5 3/4 by 4 1/8, scored at 4 1/8, so 5 3/4 by 8 1/4, scored at 4 1/8. And then I want 2 pieces of basic white, and those are 10 by 14, or roundabout, you know, you could go for 3 7/8 by 5 1/2, or you could go slightly smaller by 4 by 5 5/8, depending on whether you like a larger or a smaller border. One for the front, one for the inside. And we're going to start off with our blending. So I'm just going to grab a scrap of paper as well. And I'm using my Stampin' Pierce mat because these are photopolymer stamps. So you want those to be, you want that for the cushioning that it gives the stamps when you stamp an image. So I'm going to start off this time with some petal pink rather than the pale papaya. And I'm just using one of our blending brushes. This one's going to be my pinks one. First time of use, and I'm going to start in the centre and blend out from there, because that central part is going to be it's going to be covered up by our other images. So what you don't want to do is have any heavy marks, which these blending brushes are fantastic for avoiding, because you can really just keep working it. And if you just keep going over and over, and you'll find that blends, and it just gives a nice subtle sheen, and much easier to get the blending than it is with our with a sponge. So I'm just coming in off the edge there as well, just to kind of give a nice, just a hint of colour in the background when you don't really want a solid colour. And so just nice, gentle. They're so soft, these brushes. But then you can see I've just got a sort of swoosh of colour across the middle there. So I can pop that away from the paper. And now what we're going to do is stamp our leaf images. So I'm just going to use some Pear Pizzazz and just tap, 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 and then I'm just going to pop that diagonally from the corner, and I'm going to pop another one just so they kind of meet in the middle. That just gives a nice placement, and you know you've then got space for 2 lots of peaches. And then while we've got our ink pad out, I'm going to do that inner image as well. So I'm just going to come just on the side. I'm actually going to stamp off first on that. I like to stamp off on the inside of a card often, just to get a sort of almost like a watermark kind of effect. Just takes it up a level as well. And this is quite a juicy ink pad that I'm using. As you can tell, it's quite dark when I've stamped with it. So what we're now going to use though is our little peaches. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. So with these I'm going to create some pale papaya peaches and highlight them with a bit of Calypso coral. So there's my not pale papaya, petal pink even. So there's my petal pink. So I'm just going to ink that up, and then with a bit of Calypso coral just add a little bit of colour to your peach, and you'll see you get a lovely delicate sort of pink and pinky peach. So do the same for my little trio of peaches. And then all I'm going to do is line those up. So I know that these peaches line up with the leaves coming down with the little dimples at the top. And by that you see those little dimples, and they just line up with the stalks. Just stamp that off, make sure I'm not going to contaminate my ink pad. And again, just a little bit of pink. Turn that around the other way, and again you'll find it whichever way is easiest. I just find with these, if I do it from the leaves down, I can line it up much better. So there you've got a couple of really pretty stuff peaches showing there. So I wanted to stamp another peach actually. Need a second one. Let me just add a bit of Calypso coral. So I do have sponge daubers for each of my colours. I've built those up over time, but you don't have to. You could obviously keep one for kind of reds and pinks, and all of the other, and you know, each of the kind of colour families, a bit like I do with a blending brush. Okay. So now you're going to die cut those. I'm also going to die cut. I've stamped some leaves and cut those out in advance. So I've already got sort of some of the leaves there already. But again, just plain Pear Pizzazz. And then what I find easiest to do with my peaches is literally just pop the die over and pop it with a piece of post-it note tape or a piece of post-it note to make sure that you aren't going to have any issues with it moving around when you pop it through your die cutting machine. To use the cut and emboss, I use a piece that's about 7.5 centimetres in width, and just make sure you keep your dies between those black lines. These are the ones I'm talking about. Makes life much easier. So there's our peach, and I'm just going to stamp on that one with, let's have a look, the sentiment. I think the one I've got is Sweet as a Peach. What I might do is do a bit of masking actually. With birthday. Yes, birthday will fit there. Okay, so I'm actually going to grab a bit of post-it note. In fact, might in fact just use a piece of my tape. I'm just going to ink up the birthday and pop that at the bottom. Then I'm going to quickly clean that because you don't want any residue at all on this now. And I would always just stamp that off as well. So now what I'm going to do is mask off the birthday and ink up happy, remove a bit of tape and just pop that. So we've got happy birthday on one of those peaches instead. And let's put a little bit of glue and add our leaves to the top. See, thinking and speaking just doesn't work. There we go. So this, I'm just adding it on that bottom edge so that what it will do is sit just at the very top and attach to the top of our peach without spreading lots of glue behind. So again, just add those on. So those can be popped to one side to dry while I clear the decks a little bit. And we crack on with the other part of our card. So far then we've got our front panel and we've got our inner panel, which I haven't stamped with my peaches yet. So we'll do that now. Knew there's something else. Papaya, I'm just going to use whatever's left on my Calypso coral because it's the inside, so if it becomes a little bit lighter, that's fine for us. I'm not using my Stampin' Pierce mat again because if it's a little bit lighter, it's the inside of the card, so it just gives a very delicate feel. And we're just going to cut some strips of DSP and card to go with it. So I've literally got these, which are kind of about centimetre, just over a centimetre, half an inch, there or thereabouts. This little bit here, so I'm just going to cut again a strip, so measure it on the right. It doesn't have to be precise, it just needs to be straight. There we go, and that just adds a little of the colour to it as well. And all I'm going to do with these is just cut them off at an angle. So in fact I'm actually going to change, so I'm going to cut them at that angle. So I'm just cutting that corner off. And by having a strip that's a little bit deeper, that enables us to layer it up more easily. So I'm just going to pop those in sort of descending order. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue along the edge, and I'm using the glue because it makes it easier to sort of manoeuvre it and get a nice layer. Because otherwise you could end up with sort of glue on everything as well, or you don't always want to. You want to perhaps lift it up a little bit. So again, I'm just adding that in. And then I'm going to place that just over the centre of my stamping. So just have a look at where we want to cut it. So I'm probably going to just cut it straight, like so. So nothing precise about these. What I am going to do is now glue those down flat onto my card. You could layer those up on dimensionals if you want, but I'm keeping my dimensionals for to lift my peaches up. So now I'm going to add some dimensionals to the backs of my peaches. Now you'll see me do this before. You can either add them flat, by that I mean without any shaping, or you can grab a bone folder or another shaping tool like the embossing tool if you wanted to. I find the embossing tool is a little bit narrow for this, even the large one of the two. So I'm just going to add a little bit of shaping like so. To my peaches. And then because the peaches are quite large, use my large dimensionals, and I'm just putting down the centre of this, and then a mini dimensional up on the corner of that leaf. So that one's going to come just here on those, and then I can add my second one lower down. Again, the same, just add a mini dimensional to the small pieces. Just make sure you actually get it on the leaf, not on your grid paper. So there we go. So there we have our layer. I've done what I don't normally advise doing, which is to build it up before adding it to the card. Complete with dimensional back. So just add that to the front of your card, and by making the card out of a coloured card we don't need an extra layer. You could add an extra layer of contrast if you wanted to, but I wanted to keep this quite clean and simple. And so there we have an inside layer, and I think you'll agree that just suddenly lifts the inside of that card as well. So we have a pair of pretty peachy cards, one with more orange tones with our pale papaya, the other one, which is now almost wonky, oh that was a near miss, the other one with our pink tones using our petal pink. But I think both look lovely, and I just showed you masking off a sentiment so that you can make a long sentiment work without cutting it in half. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this project today, and if you'd like to purchase any of the items you've seen, just pop along to my blog or follow the links below and it'll take you straight to my Stampin' Up shop. I do appreciate every one of my customers, so thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you'd like more. Bye now.